One of the best times of year for me is when gaming companies release their new marketing content for their new lineup of video games. Even if I'm not going to buy the game, it's really cool to me how game developers market themselves. I assume at one point we have all seen some type of game developer press conference to a degree. Maybe it was watching E3 every year and watching the new trailers for your favorite console brand. Maybe you cherry pick conferences to see the content of the certain games that interest you. Or maybe you don't even watch the conferences except for the highlights once it's completed. No matter, the more I reflect about watching game developer conferences every year, the more I notice one thing. Transparency is a great personal relations tool that game developers can use to one-up their competition and preserve their goodwill with their player base in this delicate game development industry we currently live in. Hello, my name is Jack from Code Slush, and I'm making marketing videos, tips and tricks, rants and ideas for game developers of all sizes. Nope, this is not professional advice. Please seek a professional for that matter. When you're faced with a window to tell the world where you're at of making your game, that's a big moment that can't be overstated. I mean, a big draw for E3 was for investors of the companies could attend the conferences and see where their money was going to. All this planning takes time. So much so that some studios pre-plan demo builds many months in advance for developer conferences alone. All this internal planning and prepping in hopes they can get their message across of what their game is, even though it may not all be there in the full game yet. After their conference, the community management team may make blog posts going deeper in their conference that only need the same message in mind, that consistent messaging, all to show transparency to their present or future players that they're keeping up with their promises or vision. Why is this a strength for any developers? Not for developer conference pre-planning, but why is transparency a major strength for solo or smaller developer studios? A big reason is the amount of people that work with the company. The clearer the vision the product everyone has. If everyone has the same image from the person leading finances to the person clicking submit on the Steam page, it makes the flow of information to the player consistent with what's going on in the studio. When a big company releases a detailed statement of the current situation of making their game and the parts involved in hopes to be transparent, it can only get so much transparent without holding up development, with keeping the message the way the higher-ups or certain leaders want. I kind of imagine the scene from Star Wars where Han says,
"Everything's perfectly alright now, we're fine, we're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?"
I'm not even blaming the larger companies for this unless when it's clear they're aligned to the consumer. Imagine trying to impose the same vision amongst thousands of people and keeping the message across to your marketing team. What if a story change happens in the writing team, and now marketing needs to shift their budget to focus on campaigning the new story? What if they already spent too much of the budget on the old story? Do they just roll with it? I guess this video is about both internal and external transparency. If you're a solo dev making a devlog series, you can be as intimate or as recluse as you want with your player base. You can have direct line of conversation so there's no opportunity for miscommunication. When there are delays, you can give that update out immediately without needing to talk through certain channels for specifics. Even smaller indie teams can pivot and can just be more open with their fans. The market is changing and it wants to be more transparent, from game developer to consumer. So many times now, the last 10 years, companies fail at finding ways to be transparent about their gameplay, or overpromises of features which causes negative consumer experiences, and that causes distrust and to harm your players' base trust in you if you haven't lost it already. There are game developers who stream making their game, so there's literally zero things they can hide while their game launches. While that does have pros and cons, the game I'm playing right now for the video is called Supermare, a game made by Endeavor Games, who did most of their work streaming on Twitch. This gives the most transparency to his player base because anyone can ask any question if there's any doubt of his game and he would answer. He could also show his thought process in real time as he was making the game. It's not just about live streaming or making devlogs to show transparency. Games like Slay the Spire or devlog tech series like Concerned Apes Stardew Valley can write handcrafted updates once in a while regarding updates to their game or thoughts about the industry as a whole from a company-wide perspective. All these examples give slightly different forms of transparency that with the smaller dev size, the easier it is to make sure the message is brought across clearly. You can definitely use this strategy while making your game. You do not need to live stream or even make devlogs, but realize how much power your communication is with your fans, and how fast and how easy it is and how efficient it is over larger companies. To conclude, transparency is a strength that indie developers hold against larger developers, and for us to compete against them, you need to use it to your advantage. What do you guys think about this idea? Do you agree or disagree? Please leave a comment what you think. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.